Zal 8 stood at the front door of the Henderson house, holding their small silver suitcase. The young alien researcher had spent 3 Earth months preparing for this moment. They had studied human behavior, learned English, and even practiced smiling without showing all 4 rows of their teeth. Still, nothing could have prepared them for the actual experience of meeting their new human foster parents. Remember, Zal 8 whispered to themselves, humans find sudden color changes disturbing. They focused hard on keeping their skin tone a steady light blue instead of shifting with their emotions like it usually did. The door opened, and a tall woman with graying brown hair smiled warmly. "You must be Alex." She stumbled slightly over the simplified name the foster agency had given Zal 8. "I'm Margaret Henderson, but you can call me Margaret, or Mrs. Henderson, whichever makes you more comfortable." Zal 8 blinked all 3 of their eyes in sequence, remembering to keep the third one hidden behind their specially designed glasses. "Thank you for accepting my placement, Mrs. Henderson. The Galactic Exchange Program appreciates your participation in this cultural research project." Margaret's smile wavered for just a moment before returning. "Oh, honey, you don't need to be so formal. Come on in. Bob, my husband, is just finishing up in the kitchen. He's trying to make his famous welcome lasagna, though famous might be stretching it a bit." As Zal 8 stepped into the house, their sensory tentacles, carefully hidden under a thick hoodie, picked up various new smells. Something burning in the kitchen, artificial flower scents from plug-in air fresheners, and the distinct odor of what their research indicated was called teen spirit coming from upstairs. A loud crash from the kitchen was followed by some words that weren't in Zal 8's official Earth language database. Margaret sighed and called out, "Bob, everything okay in there?" "Just fine, honey," a man's voice answered cheerfully. "The lasagna just tried to make a break for it, but I caught it before it hit the floor. Mostly." Zal 8 quickly pulled out their tablet and made a note. Human males appear to engage in combat with their food preparation. Uncertain if this is a dominance ritual, a teenage girl came thumping down the stairs, each step louder than necessary. Zal 8's research suggested this was normal human teenage behavior, though they couldn't understand its purpose. The girl had long blonde hair tied in what humans called a messy bun, and wore what appeared to be sleeping clothes, despite it being 2:30 p.m. Earth time. "Oh my God, they're here." The girl's face lit up. "I'm Ashley. Mom's been cleaning the house for like 3 days straight getting ready. I've never seen her so worked up about a new foster kid before. But then again, you're our first alien. So, Ashley," Margaret cut in, "remember what we talked about. Alex is here as part of a cultural exchange program. We're supposed to treat them just like any other foster child." Zal 8 made another note. Humans appear to deny obvious facts as part of their social customs. Must research further. Bob emerged from the kitchen, wearing an apron that said, "May the fork be with you," and sporting several tomato sauce stains on his face. "Welcome to the family, Alex. Hope you like Italian food, or at least what I try to pass off as Italian food." "I have studied Earth's major food groups," Zal 8 replied earnestly. "My digestive system has been modified to process most human nutrients, though I must avoid dairy products as they cause my secondary stomach to produce excess methane gas." There was a moment of silence before Ashley burst out laughing. "Oh my God, you're going to make this year so much more interesting than when we fostered Buddy Miller. All he did was play video games and grunt." Margaret shot her daughter a look before turning back to Zal 8. "Why don't I show you to your room? Bob can finish up dinner, and then we can all sit down and go over the house rules." House rules. Zal 8's hidden tentacles twitched with interest. "Are these similar to the laws that govern your local municipality?" "Not exactly," Margaret said, leading them up the stairs. "Just basic things like curfew, chores, homework expectations, normal family stuff." Zal 8 quickly added another note. "Human families operate under their own legal systems, must investigate this micro-government structure." The bedroom was simple but comfortable, with blue walls, which Sal 8 appreciated as it would make their occasional color changes less noticeable, a desk, a bed, and a window overlooking the backyard. Their research had indicated that human teenagers usually decorated these spaces with images of musical performers or sports figures, but they hadn't had time to acquire any such items. "I know it's a bit plain," Margaret said apologetically, "but we can go shopping this weekend and get some things to make it feel more like your own space." "This is more than adequate for my research needs," Zal 8 assured her, "though I will need to set up my atmospheric sampling equipment and DNA collection devices." "You're what now?" Margaret's eyebrows rose. Zal 8 quickly remembered their briefing about human privacy concerns. "I mean, my laptop and school supplies." "Oh, of course." Margaret looked relieved. "Well, I'll let you get settled in. Dinner should be ready in about 20 minutes, if Bob hasn't completely destroyed the kitchen." After Margaret left, Zal 8 sat on the bed, testing its bounce resistance. They pulled out their tablet again and began their first official research entry. Day 1 of Human Family Observation. Initial contact established with the Henderson family unit. Consists of: 1 adult male, Bob, appears to engage in ritual food combat. 1 adult female, Margaret, shows signs of being the primary authority figure. 1 adolescent female, Ashley, exhibits typical teenage behaviors according to research. 1 guest quarters with acceptable atmospheric conditions. Preliminary observations suggest humans maintain complex social hierarchies within their family units. The concept of house rules implies a structured system of governance. Further investigation required. Note to self: must remember to maintain consistent skin color. Keep third eye hidden. Limit tentacle movement when excited. Avoid discussing true purpose of research. Figure out what a curfew is before it becomes relevant. End Day 1 entry. The smell of burnt cheese wafted up from downstairs, followed by Bob's voice. "Who wants pizza instead?" Zal 8 made one final note. Human fathers may not be the most skilled food preparers. Possible evolutionary adaptation to encourage offspring to learn independent survival skills. They stood up, straightened their hoodie to ensure all extra appendages were hidden, and prepared to face their first family dinner. Whatever happened, it would make excellent research material for their guide to surviving human parents. Little did Zal 8 know, they were about to learn that no amount of research could truly prepare them for life with a human family. The real education was just beginning. 1 week into their stay with the Henderson family, Zal 8 sat at their desk, updating their research notes. The past 7 Earth days had been full of surprises, challenges, and what Bob kept calling learning experiences. Day 7 of Human Family Observation, Zal 8 wrote in their tablet. Humans have many customs that seem to make no logical sense, yet they insist these are important for proper development. A knock on their bedroom door interrupted their writing. "Alex," Bob's voice called out. "Want to come play some baseball in the backyard? It's a perfect Saturday afternoon." Zal 8 quickly checked their Earth sports database. Baseball, a game involving a small white sphere and a wooden hitting stick. They had studied the rules but had never actually played. "Coming, Bob?" They called out, remembering to use what humans called an inside voice after yesterday's incident where their natural volume had set off the neighbor's car alarm. In the backyard, Bob stood wearing what appeared to be a leather hand covering and tossing a white ball up and down. "Okay, Alex, have you ever played catch before?" "No, but I have studied the theoretical physics of projectile motion," Zal 8 replied eagerly. Bob blinked. "Oh, right. Well, let's start simple. I'll toss the ball, and you try to catch it with this glove." He handed Zal 8 another leather hand covering. Zal 8 examined the glove with interest. Their hidden tentacles twitched with excitement under their hoodie, but they remembered to keep them still. They had learned the hard way that humans found unexpected tentacle movements freaky. The first throw went well, too well. Zal 8's natural reflexes kicked in, and they caught the ball with perfect precision, their hand moving faster than human eyes could track. Wow! Bob's eyes widened. That was impressive. I mean, Zal-8 quickly added, trying to sound more human-like, luck. That was luck. Beginner's luck. The next hour was spent with Zal-8 trying to catch and throw the ball while pretending to be less coordinated. They deliberately missed a few catches and threw some balls off target, which seemed to make Bob more comfortable. From the kitchen window, Margaret watched them with a smile. She was preparing something called lemonade, which Zal-8 had learned was a traditional Earth beverage for outdoor activities. Later that afternoon, as they sat on the back porch drinking lemonade, Ashley came home from her friend's house. She took one look at Zal-8 and burst out laughing. "What?" they asked, worried their third eye had become visible. "Your skin is kind of greenish," Ashley whispered. "I think you got sunburned." Zal-8 quickly focused on returning their skin to its usual light blue tone. "Thank you for the warning," they whispered back. "I'm still learning to control my chromatic responses to ultraviolet radiation." "No problem," Ashley grinned. "That's what sisters are for, even temporary alien ones." That evening, Margaret called a family meeting in the living room. Zal-8 found these meetings fascinating. They seemed to be a form of tribal council where important matters were discussed. "Alex," Margaret began, "we need to talk about your science equipment." Zal-8's hearts, all three of them, skipped a beat. "Is there a problem?" "Well," Margaret said gently, "the atmospheric sampling device in your room is making a strange humming noise at night, and Bob found something that looks like a DNA collector in the bathroom. Also," Bob added, "the neighbors are asking about the small satellite dish on your window that keeps tracking their cat." Zal-8 pulled out their tablet and made a note. "Human parents show remarkable observational skills when it comes to unauthorized scientific equipment." "I can explain," they began. "The atmospheric sampler is for my science project." "Yes, a school science project about air quality." "The DNA collector is for collecting hair samples to study split ends." "And the satellite dish is for getting better Wi-Fi." The Hendersons exchanged looks. Finally, Margaret spoke. "Honey, we know you're here to study Earth families, but maybe we could find less invasive ways to do your research." Zal-8 felt their skin threatening to turn purple with embarrassment. "You knew." "Well," Bob chuckled, "the tentacle we saw in the bathroom last Tuesday was a pretty big clue." "And you're not upset?" Zal-8 asked cautiously. "Are you kidding?" Ashley piped up. "This is the coolest thing ever. My friends are so jealous, though they think you're just really into cosplay." "We just want you to feel comfortable here," Margaret explained. "You don't have to hide your research, but maybe we could set some boundaries. Like no DNA collection without permission, and maybe move the atmospheric sampler to the garage where it won't keep everyone awake." Zal-8 made another note. "Human parents appear to be more understanding than initial research suggested. Perhaps their reputation for being totally unfair, source, Ashley, is not entirely accurate." "Also," Bob added with a grin, "you might want to work on your baseball skills. No human teenager has reflexes that good. Try dropping the ball occasionally." "Speaking of skills," Margaret said, "tomorrow is your first day of high school. Are you ready?" Zal-8's skin flickered briefly to a pale yellow before they could control it. High school. Their research indicated this was one of the most challenging aspects of human teenage life. They had prepared extensively, studying human teenage behavior, fashion trends, and something called memes that seemed crucial to social interaction. "I have memorized all the appropriate responses," they said confidently. "If someone says, 'What's up?' I will not look at the ceiling. If someone says something is sick, I will understand they mean it is good, not ill. And I have practiced saying bro with the correct intonation." Ashley put her head in her hands. "Oh God, This is going to be amazing. Just be yourself, Margaret advised, then paused. Well, be yourself while remembering to keep your extra appendages hidden and your skin a normal human color. And maybe, Bob added, don't mention that you're writing an extraterrestrial guide to human parenting in your college application essay. That night, Zal-8 sat in their room, making final preparations for school. They had arranged their new school supplies, carefully checked by Margaret to ensure none of them were actually scientific instruments in disguise. Picked out their clothes, a hoodie, of course, the best way to hide extra appendages, and practiced human teenage walking. Apparently, their usual hovering was not cool. In their research notes, they wrote, Day 7 update. Human parents continue to surprise me. Despite discovering my true purpose here, they remain supportive and helpful. They even assist in maintaining my cover story, though Bob's suggestion that I tell people I'm from Canada rather than the Andromeda Galaxy seems unnecessary. Notable observations. 1. Human father-child bonding often involves physical activities and intentional failure at sports, too. Human mothers possess almost telepathic abilities to detect unauthorized scientific equipment. 3. Human siblings can be valuable allies in maintaining secret identities. 4. The phrase, just be yourself, appears to be standard human parent advice, even when yourself is literally an alien. Tomorrow brings new challenges with the start of human high school. Must remember, walk, don't hover. Keep all eyes facing forward. No spontaneous color changes during gym class. Avoid using advanced calculus in math class. Do not attempt to correct the physics teacher. End Day 7 entry. As they prepared for sleep, a strange but interesting human custom they had grown to enjoy, they heard Ashley talking on the phone in the next room. No, seriously, my new foster sibling is the best thing ever. They tried to analyze Dad's dad jokes today and concluded they were some form of psychological warfare. Zal-8 smiled, letting their third eye open briefly in the darkness of their room. Maybe this whole human family experience wouldn't be as challenging as their initial research had suggested, though they had a feeling high school tomorrow would put that theory to the test. After all, as Bob would say, that's why they call it a learning curve, kiddo. Though in your case, it might be more of a learning quantum leap. High school had been going surprisingly well for Zal-8 for the past month. They had managed to keep their extra appendages hidden during gym class, successfully convinced their biology teacher that their detailed knowledge of alien life forms came from watching too many sci-fi movies, and even made a few friends who thought their unusual way of talking was totally aesthetic. But now they faced their biggest challenge yet. Their new friend Tommy had invited them to a party on Saturday night, the same night Margaret and Bob had specifically told them to stay home because they were having dinner with Bob's boss. Day 37 of Human Family Observation. Zal-8 wrote in their tablet, experiencing conflict between peer social protocols and parental authority directives. Research suggests this is a common occurrence in human adolescent development. The party wasn't just any party. It was happening on the night of a rare atmospheric phenomenon that Zal-8 needed to study for their research. Their equipment had detected unusual energy patterns that matched nothing in their database. They had to investigate. After much internal debate and consulting 3 different Earth teenage movies, Zal-8 made their decision. They would attend the family dinner, excuse themselves early claiming homework, and then sneak out to conduct their research. The party's location happened to be perfect for atmospheric readings, so they could maintain their cover story with Tommy while gathering data. The plan seemed perfect, until it wasn't. The dinner went smoothly at first. Bob's boss loved Zal-8's unique perspective on everything, especially when they analyzed the economic implications of his golf hobby. Margaret beamed with pride when Zal-8 remembered to use their fork instead of their retractable feeding appendage. At 9:30 p.m., Zal-8 excused themselves politely. I have a complex mathematics assignment to complete. It's about Earth geometry, which is fascinating despite being limited to 3 dimensions. Such a dedicated student, Bob's boss laughed. You must be proud, Bob. Zal 8 felt a strange twinge in their secondary heart when they saw Bob's proud smile. They pushed the feeling aside and headed upstairs. Once in their room, they carefully arranged pillows under their blanket in the shape of a sleeping figure, just like they had seen in Earth movies. They grabbed their atmospheric sampling equipment, disguised as a backpack, and prepared to levitate down from their window. What they hadn't counted on was Ashley walking into their room without knocking. Hey, Alex, can I borrow your... What are you doing? Zal 8 froze, halfway through the window, their skin cycling through several shocked colors before settling back to blue. Ashley, they whispered, this is not what it appears to be. I am conducting important scientific research. You're sneaking out to Tommy's party, Ashley said flatly. I saw his post about it on Instagram. The party location happens to coincide with my research needs, Zal 8 explained. It's a completely logical conjunction of social and scientific objectives. Ashley crossed her arms. Mom and Dad are going to be so disappointed. That strange twinge in their secondary heart returned, stronger this time. They won't know. I'll be back before they check on me. What if something goes wrong? What if you accidentally show your third eye, or your tentacles come out, or you get excited and start floating? I have maintained perfect control of my human disguise for weeks now, Zal 8 protested. Yeah, except for Tuesday when you got so excited about pizza day at school that you turned rainbow-colored in the cafeteria. Everyone thought it was some cool new LED shirt, but still. Zal 8 hesitated at the window. Their atmospheric sensors were picking up stronger readings now. The phenomenon was beginning. But Ashley's words about disappointment kept echoing in their mind. High school had been going surprisingly well for Zal 8 for the past month. They had managed to keep their extra appendages hidden during gym class, successfully convinced their biology teacher that their detailed knowledge of alien life forms came from watching too many sci-fi movies, and even made a few friends who thought their unusual way of talking was totally aesthetic. But now, they faced their biggest challenge yet. Their new friend Tommy had invited them to a party on Saturday night. The same night Margaret and Bob had specifically told them to stay home because they were having dinner with Bob's boss. Day 37 of human family observation. Zal 8 wrote in their tablet. Experiencing conflict between peer social protocols and parental authority directives. Research suggests this is a common occurrence in human adolescent development. The party wasn't just any party. It was happening on the night of a rare atmospheric phenomenon that Zal 8 needed to study for their research. Their equipment had detected unusual energy patterns that matched nothing in their database. They had to investigate. After much internal debate and consulting 3 different Earth teenage movies, Zal 8 made their decision. They would attend the family dinner, excuse themselves early claiming homework, and then sneak out to conduct their research. The party's location happened to be perfect for atmospheric readings, so they could maintain their cover story with Tommy while gathering data. The plan seemed perfect, until it wasn't. The dinner went smoothly at first. Bob's boss loved Zal 8's unique perspective on everything, especially when they analyzed the economic implications of his golf hobby. Margaret beamed with pride when Zal 8 remembered to use their fork instead of their retractable feeding appendage. At 9:30 p.m., Zal 8 excused themselves politely. I have a complex mathematics assignment to complete. It's about Earth geometry, which is fascinating despite being limited to 3 dimensions. Such a dedicated student, Bob's boss laughed. You must be proud, Bob. Zal 8 felt a strange twinge in their secondary heart when they saw Bob's proud smile. They pushed the feeling aside and headed upstairs. Once in their room, they carefully arranged pillows under their blanket in the shape of a sleeping figure, just like they had seen in Earth movies. They grabbed their atmospheric sampling equipment, disguised as a backpack, and prepared to levitate down from their window. What they hadn't counted on was Ashley walking into their room without knocking. Hey, Alex, can I borrow your... What are you doing? Zal 8 froze, halfway through the window, their skin cycling through several shock colors before settling back to blue. Ashley, they whispered, this is not what it appears to be. I am conducting important scientific research. You're sneaking out to Tommy's party, Ashley said flatly. I saw his post about it on Instagram. The party location happens to coincide with my research needs, Zal 8 explained. It's a completely logical conjunction of social and scientific objectives. Ashley crossed her arms. Mom and Dad are going to be so disappointed. That strange twinge in their secondary heart returned, stronger this time. They won't know. I'll be back before they check on me. What if something goes wrong? What if you accidentally show your third eye, or your tentacles come out, or you get excited and start floating? I have maintained perfect control of my human disguise for weeks now, Zal 8 protested. Yeah, except for Tuesday when you got so excited about pizza day at school that you turned rainbow-colored in the cafeteria. Everyone thought it was some cool new LED shirt, but still. Zal 8 hesitated at the window. Their atmospheric sensors were picking up stronger readings now. The phenomenon was beginning, but Ashley's words about disappointment kept echoing in their mind. Before they could decide what to do, they heard a car screech outside, followed by loud music and shouting. Tommy and his friends had decided to pick them up instead of meeting at the party. Alex. Tommy's voice carried up to the window. Come on, dude. Zal 8 made a quick decision. They would go, collect their readings, and return before anyone noticed. They started to climb out. Wait, Ashley said. At least let me help you sneak out properly. But you owe me one. Just then, they heard Margaret's voice from downstairs. Ashley, Alex, everything okay up there? In their panic, Zal 8's concentration slipped. Their skin flashed bright purple, their third eye popped open, and all 4 tentacles burst out from under their hoodie at once. Coming, Mom. Ashley called down, then turned back to Zal 8. Quick, get back inside before. Too late. They heard footsteps on the stairs. In their rush to hide their extra appendages, Zal 8 lost their balance on the windowsill. They instinctively tried to hover, but their panic made their levitation powers misfire. With a yelp that sounded decidedly unhuman, Zal 8 tumbled out the window. Thankfully, their backup levitation glands kicked in just before they hit the ground, letting them land softly in the bushes. Unfortunately, this happened right in front of Tommy's car. Dude, Tommy said, staring at Zal 8's still purple skin and visible tentacles. That's like the coolest costume ever. How did you change clothes so fast? Before Zal 8 could respond, they heard Bob's voice. Alex, what's going on out here? The next few minutes were chaos. Bob and Margaret ran outside. Tommy and his friends quickly drove off, thinking they were in trouble. Ashley came running down with Zal 8's blanket to help hide their extra appendages. And Zal 8 sat in the bushes, their skin cycling through every color possible, their research equipment beeping loudly about the atmospheric phenomenon they were now missing, feeling something they had never experienced before, guilt. Later that night, after everything had calmed down, Zal 8 sat on the living room couch between Bob and Margaret. Their skin had finally settled back to its normal blue, and they had managed to tuck away all extra appendages. We're not angry, Margaret said softly. We're just disappointed. That word again, disappointed. It made all 3 of Zal 8's hearts hurt. I don't understand, they said. In Earth movies, teenagers always sneak out and have adventures. It's a normal part of development. Movies aren't real life, kiddo, Bob said. Real life is about trust. We trusted you to be honest with us. The atmospheric phenomenon, Zal 8 tried to explain. It was a once-in-a-decade event. My research could have waited, Margaret finished. Or you could have told us about it. We would have understood. We've been trying to support your research, remember? Zal 8 felt their third eye tearing up behind their glasses. I apologize. I have failed in my mission to understand human family dynamics. No, Bob said, putting a hand on their shoulder. I'd say you're learning exactly what being part of a family means. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we let each other down. But we forgive each other and try to do better. Even if those mistakes involve accidentally revealing your alien identity to half the teenage population of the neighborhood. Xal 8 asked quietly. Don't worry about Tommy and his friends, Ashley called from the kitchen. I already posted that you're really into special effects makeup and we're testing a Halloween costume. Everyone thinks you're even cooler now. However, Margaret added, you're still grounded for the next 2 weeks. Xal 8 pulled out their tablet. Please define grounded. My research suggests it involves being confined to Earth's surface, but I already try to avoid hovering in public. Despite everything, Bob laughed. It means no parties, no phone except for emergencies, and extra chores. But you can still do your research, as long as you tell us about it first. That night, Xal 8 made a new entry in their guide. Day 37 update. Experienced first major crisis in human family dynamics. Key findings. 1. Human parents' disappointment is a more effective deterrent than anger, too. The phrase, we're not angry, just disappointed, appears to be a powerful emotional weapon. 3. Trust is a fundamental component of human family bonds. 4. Breaking trust hurts all 3 of my hearts in ways I didn't expect. 5. Human siblings are surprisingly good at damage control on social media. 6. The concept of grounding requires further research. Note: must remember that understanding human families requires more than just observation. It requires emotional investment, which appears to be both the most challenging and most rewarding aspect of this research. End Day 37 entry. As they wrote, they could hear Bob and Margaret talking quietly downstairs. Despite missing the atmospheric phenomenon, they had discovered something potentially more significant. The strange and powerful force that made human families stick together, even when things went wrong. Maybe that, they thought, was the real phenomenon worth studying. 2 months had passed since the sneaking out incident, and Xal 8 was beginning to notice strange changes in their behavior. They found themselves wanting to make Margaret smile, laughing at Bob's terrible jokes, and actually enjoying family game nights. Most alarming of all, they had started to feel what humans called emotions about their foster family's approval or disapproval. Day 67 of human family observation. They wrote in their tablet, I appear to be experiencing unprecedented emotional responses to human family interactions. This requires further study. It was a Saturday morning, and the Henderson house was busy with weekend activities. Bob was attempting to fix the kitchen sink, though his definition of fixing seemed to involve a lot of words that weren't in Xal 8's Earth language database. Margaret was planning the week's meals, and Ashley was teaching Xal 8 how to make pancakes. No, you can't use your tentacles to flip them, Ashley whispered, glancing at the kitchen doorway, even if it would be more efficient. But the optimal pancake flipping trajectory requires more precise control than human hands can manage. Xal 8 protested quietly. A loud clang came from under the sink, followed by Bob's voice. Everything's fine, though we might need to eat out for the next few days. Margaret sighed and made a note to call a plumber. She looked up at Xal 8 and Ashley's pancake-making attempts and smiled. Those smell wonderful. Alex, you're getting really good at cooking. Xal 8 felt their skin threatening to turn pink with pleasure. They quickly focused on maintaining their usual blue tone, but they couldn't suppress the warm feeling in all 3 of their hearts. Later that day, while helping Margaret with the grocery shopping, a task they found fascinating due to the complex decision-making processes involved, Xal 8 had a revelation. They noticed Margaret automatically reaching for their favorite Earth snack, something called Oreos, without having to ask. You remembered my preferred Earth sustenance, they said, surprised. Margaret looked confused. Of course I did. That's what moms do. But I'm not your biological offspring. I'm not even from this planet. I'm just here to study human families. Margaret stopped the shopping cart and turned to look at them. Alex, honey, you're not just anything. You're part of our family now, research project or not. All three of Sal 8's hearts did a strange flutter. They made a note to check their cardiac systems later for possible malfunctions. That evening, something unexpected happened. Bob's brother Tom called with bad news. Bob and Margaret's elderly aunt was in the hospital. They needed to drive to the next state to visit her. "We'll only be gone for 2 days," Margaret explained as she packed a small bag. "Ashley is staying at her friend Emma's house for the science project they're working on. Will you be okay here by yourself?" Sal 8 straightened their posture. "I am a trained researcher from an advanced civilization. I am perfectly capable of maintaining my own existence for 2 Earth days." "Right," Bob said, trying not to smile. "So you know how to use the microwave without making it explode this time." "That was one time," Sal 8 protested. "And I've since learned that metal containers are not appropriate for Earth heating devices." After giving them emergency contact numbers, instructions about locking the doors, and reminders about homework, Bob and Margaret left. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Sal 8 was completely alone in the house. They pulled out their tablet to make notes. "First experience with temporary parental absence. Excellent opportunity to observe my responses to lack of supervision." The first few hours went well. They completed their homework, conducted some atmospheric readings from inside the house, as promised, and successfully heated up dinner in the microwave without any explosions. But as night fell, they began to notice strange phenomena. The house seemed bigger and quieter than usual. Every small noise caught their attention. They found themselves checking their phone more often than necessary, hoping for messages from Bob or Margaret. "This is illogical," they muttered to themselves. "I am a capable being who has traveled across galaxies. I should not be experiencing discomfort merely because my temporary human guardians are absent." Then the storm hit. Thunder boomed overhead, making Sal 8 jump. Their species had evolved on a planet without atmospheric electrical discharges, and Earth thunderstorms still startled them. Lightning flashed, and suddenly the power went out. In the darkness, Sal 8's third eye opened automatically, giving them some night vision. But instead of feeling more secure, they felt strangely vulnerable. They pulled out their phone to check the weather radar, only to discover the Wi-Fi was down. Another crash of thunder made them yelp and accidentally release all 4 tentacles at once. In their panic, they forgot everything they knew about Earth technology and tried to use their alien communication device to call for help. But they had promised the Galactic Exchange Program they would only use it for emergencies. Was this an emergency? They weren't in any real danger. Thunder was just a natural Earth phenomenon. But they really wanted to hear Bob's terrible jokes or Margaret's reassuring voice. Finally, they did something they never thought they would do. They called Ashley. "Hey, what's up?" Ashley answered, sounding distracted by her science project. "The electrical power in the house has ceased functioning due to atmospheric disturbances, and I am experiencing unexpected emotional responses that may or may not indicate psychological distress," Sal 8 said in one breath. There was a pause. "Are you saying you're scared of the storm and miss Mom and Dad?" "That is an oversimplification of my current psychological state," Sal 8 protested. "I am merely conducting research on human responses to temporary parental absence during adverse weather conditions." They could hear the smile in Ashley's voice. "Want me to come home? Emma's mom can drive me." "That would not be necessary," Sal 8 said quickly, just as another thunder crash made them jump. "Although perhaps having a control subject for my research would be scientifically valid." 30 minutes later, Ashley arrived home with a flashlight and her backpack. She found Sal 8 wrapped in a blanket on the couch, all 4 tentacles clutching different comfort objects: a pillow, their tablet, Bob's favorite dad jokes book, and the family photo Margaret had given them. "Don't worry," Ashley said, sitting next to them. "Mom and Dad used to have to sit with me during storms too. Want to build a pillow fort? It's a traditional human storm survival technique. For the next hour, they constructed what Sal 8 insisted on calling a temporary atmospheric disturbance shelter using blankets, chairs, and cushions. Ashley taught them how to make shadow puppets with their tentacles using the flashlight, and they shared the emergency stash of Oreos Margaret had hidden in the kitchen. Your assistance has been helpful, Sal 8 admitted as they sat in their fort. Though this incident raises concerning questions about my ability to function independently. That's not how family works, Ashley explained. Being strong doesn't mean never needing help. It means knowing you have people you can count on when things get tough. Later that night, after the storm passed and the power came back on, Sal 8 made a new entry in their guide. Day 67 update. Experienced first night alone during Earth storm. Notable findings. 1. Human homes appear to increase in size and decrease in comfort levels when parental units are absent. 2. Thunder continues to be an illogical source of distress. 3. The presence of a human sibling can provide unexpected emotional support. 4. Pillow forts serve no practical defensive purpose, but offer significant psychological comfort. 5. Missing one's parental units appears to be a normal response, even for non-human life forms. 6. The concept of family extends beyond biological connections or research parameters. Additional observation. I appear to have developed what humans call attachment to my host family. This was not part of the original research plan, but may be unavoidable when studying human family dynamics from within. End day 67 entry. When Bob and Margaret returned home the next day, they found their alien foster child and their daughter asleep in a massive pillow fort in the living room, surrounded by Oreo wrappers and shadow puppet drawings. Sal 8's skin was cycling through peaceful colors in their sleep, and one tentacle was still holding the family photo. Should we wake them? Bob whispered. Margaret shook her head, smiling. Let them sleep. Looks like they handled things just fine. What they didn't realize was that they were already understanding it through something much more powerful. Experience. 6 months had passed since Sal 8 first arrived at the Henderson house. The time had come for them to present their findings to the Galactic Council. They sat in their room, surrounded by research notes, trying to write their final report. Somehow, putting their experiences into scientific terms felt harder than ever. Final day of human family observation. They typed into their tablet, then deleted it. Started again. A comprehensive analysis of human familial bonds, then deleted that too. Nothing seemed to capture what they had learned. There was a knock at their door. Alex, Margaret called. Can we come in? Sal 8 quickly tucked away their extra appendages and adjusted their glasses to hide their third eye. Enter. The whole Henderson family came into the room. Bob was carrying a large, wrapped package. Ashley was trying and failing to hide her excitement. Margaret had that warm smile that always made Sal 8's hearts feel funny. We know you have to leave tomorrow, Margaret said softly. We wanted to give you something to remember us by. Sal 8's skin threatened to turn several colors at once. That is unnecessary. My species has perfect memory retention. I could never forget my time here. Just open it, you big blue nerd, Ashley said affectionately. Inside the package was a photo album, but not just any photo album. The Hendersons had collected pictures from all of Sal 8's time with them. Their first awkward family dinner, where they had accidentally eaten the fork, the baseball practice sessions with Bob, cooking lessons with Ashley, the science fair where their project on atmospheric analysis had won first place, even though they had to pretend half their data wasn't from their own atmospheric monitoring equipment. There were photos of the disastrous Thanksgiving dinner where they had tried to cook a turkey using improved alien technology, resulting in what Bob now called the Great Purple Smoke Incident of 2024, pictures of their first school dance, where they had managed to keep all extra appendages hidden even during the Macarena. The Christmas morning when they had been so excited about getting their own Earth sweater that they had temporarily turned rainbow-colored. We had to be careful not to include any photos where your extra features were showing, Bob explained. Though I did keep that one of you floating in your sleep during movie night. It's in a secret pocket in the back. Zal 8 felt all three of their hearts squeezing. They had learned about human crying, but had never experienced it themselves until now. A tear slipped out from under their special glasses. They started, then had to recalibrate their voice modulator. I don't know what to say. This is not covered in any of my research protocols. That's because some things can't be put into research terms, Margaret said, sitting next to them on the bed. Some things you just have to feel. Later that night, Zal 8 sat at their desk, trying one last time to write their report for the Galactic Council. But instead of their usual scientific analysis, something different came out. 2. The Galactic Council. Subject: Final Report on Human Family Dynamics. Distinguished Council members, I regret to inform you that I have failed in my mission to provide an objective, scientific analysis of human family units. Despite my best efforts to maintain experimental protocols, I have become emotionally compromised. The Henderson family has affected me in ways that cannot be quantified by our standard research methods. I have learned that human families are not simply biological or social groupings for survival purposes. They are something far more complex and wonderful. In my time here, I have learned. A human father is not just a provider of resources and genetic material. He is someone who will spend hours teaching you to play a pointless game called baseball, just to spend time with you. He will tell terrible jokes until you laugh, not because the jokes are funny, but because he wants to see you happy. He will pretend not to notice when you accidentally float in your sleep, and instead just adjust your blanket and turn off the light. A human mother is not merely a caregiver. She is someone who knows exactly what you need before you know it yourself. She remembers your favorite Earth snacks, worries about your safety even though you have advanced alien technology to protect you, and somehow makes you feel at home on a planet 2.5 million light-years from your birthplace. A human sister is not just a genetic relative. She is someone who will help you understand Earth teenage customs, cover for you when you accidentally turn purple in public, and build a fort with you during a thunderstorm. She will treat you like family even though you look nothing alike and come from different galaxies. They have taught me that family is not about biology or species or even coming from the same planet. It's about belonging. It's about having people who accept you exactly as you are, even when as you are includes tentacles and color-changing skin, and 3 hearts that all beat faster when they smile at you. I came here to study human families. Instead, I became part of one. My research has been compromised by emotional attachment. My data is skewed by personal experience. My scientific objectivity has been completely destroyed by what humans call love. And I wouldn't change any of it. Attached you will find my official resignation from the Galactic Exchange Program's Research Division. I request permission to remain on Earth with my family. I understand this is unprecedented, but then again, so are humans. If denied, I will return as ordered, but I want the Council to know that this experience has changed me forever. Humans may be technologically primitive, but they understand something our species has yet to grasp: the power of unconditional love. Also, they have invented something called Oreos, which alone makes their civilization worthy of our highest respect. Respectfully submitted, Zal 8, also known as Alex Henderson. P.S. I have attached my complete research notes as required by protocol. However, I recommend experiencing human family life firsthand. No amount of data can truly capture what it feels like to be part of one. P.P.S. If permission to stay is granted, please send more skin color stabilizing cream. Earth teenagers are surprisingly observant, and turning rainbow-colored during emotional moments is getting harder to explain as a cool LED shirt. After finishing the letter, Zal 8 looked at the family photo on their desk. In it, they were squished between Bob and Margaret on the couch, with Ashley sitting on the floor in front of them. They had managed to keep their skin blue for the whole photo shoot, though one tentacle had snuck out in excitement and had to be edited out later. There was a knock at their door. "Alex?" It was Ashley. "Mom's making hot chocolate. Want to come watch a movie with us?" "Hot chocolate has no nutritional value," Zal 8 said automatically, even as they got up from their desk. "Neither does turning purple every time Dad tells a bad joke, but you do that too. That is an involuntary chromatic response to psychological stimuli. Whatever you say, alien nerd. Coming or not." Zal 8 looked at their report, then at their door. Science could wait. Their family was calling. As they walked downstairs, they made one final note in their tablet. Conclusion of Earth family research. Humans may be illogical, emotional, and completely baffling, but they have mastered something more advanced than any technology. The ability to make anyone, even a confused alien researcher, feel like they belong. End final entry. P.S. Note to future alien researchers. If you study human families, be prepared. They will adopt you. Resistance is futile. Bring extra Oreos. That night, curled up on the couch between Bob and Margaret, watching Ashley try to explain why the science in the movie was wrong, a habit she had definitely picked up from them, Zal 8 realized something important. Sometimes the best research doesn't answer your questions. It changes them entirely. They had come to Earth asking, how do human families work? Now they knew the real question was, how did I ever work without one? Their skin turned a happy shade of pink, and for once, they didn't try to hide it. After all, that's what family is for, being yourself, extra appendages and all.